Morning everyone, and today I'm talking about cycling in Holland and specifically the Amstel Gold. The Amstel Gold is one of the spring classics and one of the Ardennes classics. The other two are the Flèche Wallonne, which actually takes place today, Wednesday the 18th of April, and Liège-Bastogne-Liège, which takes place on Sunday. Amstel Gold is a very big sportive event, followed by a pro race on the Sunday. There are probably upwards of 12 or 13,000 riders taking place in the Sportive, and they cover any of 6 distances, the biggest number of distances of an organised Sportive, I believe, in the world. And that is 60, 100, 125, 150, 200 and 240 kilometres. Covering the same roads, pretty much the same climbs, not exactly the same route as the pros do on the Sunday. Now 14 old ports went out on the Thursday, through Eurotunnel again, and then drove to Heerlen. Heerlen is in Holland. It's about 6 miles from Valkenburg. And it took us about 4.5 hours from Calais. So quite a long drive, but perfectly doable, perfectly fine. Stopped on the route for toilet breaks and coffee and usual stuff. Now, we'd all registered online, but on the Friday, you have to go and pick up your registration stuff, number and timing chip and so forth from the place in Valkenburg. So where we were staying in Heerlen, one of our members, Kevin, organised a route for us that took us down to Valkenburg on a kind of 25-mile looping route through Holland. Now, if you've not ridden in Holland, it is a wonderful experience. You cannot imagine that every single road will have some kind of cycle path to it. Okay, narrow lanes, farm tracks, that kind of thing. But apart from that, every road has got some kind of cycle path. It might be a physical barrier, it might be a line on the road, but it is something that is clearly there to assist cyclists. And the car drivers are amazing. They give way at roundabouts, they give way at junctions, they wait for you, they let you pass, they don't honk you, they don't shout at you, they don't throw rubbish, they don't hurl abuse, and they don't try and push you off your bike. And when you come to a roundabout, you don't join the other cars and try and race your way around the roundabout, taking your life in your hands. You follow the cycle path. There are specific traffic lights for cyclists. Everything is done to make the cyclist's life perfect. So we rode through the countryside, got to Valkenburg, signed on, found a pancake house, stuffed our faces with pancakes, rode back to Heerlen. Nice day. So on the Saturday, there were 14 members in our group, as I say. 11 did the 150k. Myself, my friends Andy and Mark did the 240k route. So the three of us left the hotel at 6 a.m. It was dark, obviously, as we rode the 6 miles to the start in Valkenburg, over the timing mat, and away we went. Andy disappeared straight away. Mark and I stayed together for the whole of the course. Now, the 240k route loops, doubles back on itself, covers the same roads, in many cases does the same climbs more than once, and each of the routes there are a set of 6 arrows on the road, so you make sure you follow your right coloured arrow so you know which route to go. There are about 31 climbs on the 240k route. The longest is about 4.3k, and it's not particularly steep. So some of the climbs are hard, some of the climbs are steep, although generally not more than about 750, 800 metres. What makes the climbs difficult, of course, is that as the miles build up in your legs, the climbs seem to get harder and harder. The second to last climb is the Koutenberg, which is probably one of the steepest, actually. It's not very long, about 800 metres, but there's an average gradient of about 15% or so. And wonderful experience. We got to see Didi the Devil dancing on the Koutenberg in his devil outfit, of course, with his trident, of course, shouting encouragement to the riders. There were also a lot of people at the side of the roads cheering you on, clapping, just waiting there for picnics. Wonderful day. Weather was perfect, a little cold in the morning, but it warmed up nicely throughout the day and it didn't get too hot. Mark and I finished after about 11 and a half hours or so. There were 4 feed stops. Usual fare at the feed stops: waffles, honey cakes, sweets, large number of green bananas, oddly, some Isostar energy drink, which to be honest tasted just like Robinson's barley water to me, but you stuff your face with sugar and you hope you're going to get round, and we did. So we finished up. There must have been, I don't know, a couple of thousand riders gathered together at the top of the Coburg. And the Coburg, which used to be the finish line for the Amstel Gold Pro race, and although it's now the last climb, or pretty much the last climb, it's not actually the finish line. But for the Sportives, you do the climb of the Coburg. You've seen it on TV, you've seen the photos, it is just as it looks. And as we turned on to the Coburg, there must have been, I don't know, couple of thousand drunken Dutch people in the bars, in the cafes, shouting, cheering you on. It was almost like being a pro. So Mark and I finished the ride together. Wonderful experience. The last 6 miles to get back from Valkenburg to Heerlen was pretty hard and it was pretty tiring, but what a day, what a weekend, what a time with the old ports. We saw, while we were there on the Sportive, very few English jerseys, very few English voices. Doesn't mean they weren't there, because there was an awful lot of riders, so we hardly saw everybody, but we were surprised at how few English people there seemed to be. So if you've ever thought about doing one of the Spring Classics, if you've ever thought about doing the Amstel Gold but thought it was too far, too hard, too whatever, change your mind. It is a fabulous event. I've now done Liège-Bastogne-Liège, I've done Paris-Roubaix, I've done Tour of Flanders a couple of times, and it is the best of the Spring Classics, in my humble opinion. The route was the nicest, the weather was the best, the weekend was fabulous. Riding in Holland, you can't beat it. I haven't got a bad thing to say about it. One thing maybe, the hotel we were staying in, pleasant enough, but the food was crap. See you next time.